Alright guys, how you doing? I'm going to be checking out AMD's new Radeon Crimson drivers. I'm going to call it Radeon a lot because I've always called it Radeon for some reason, so just bear with me on that one. Anyway, they've just recently released this. It's an update on their current driver, their Catalyst Control Center, yeah? Very nice looking. They've been talking up quite a lot this past month. Right now I am running Catalyst 1511.1, which is what the Crimson driver is based on, I think. One of the things AMD's been talking about is how much faster the drivers install and how much faster they load. So we'll take a little look at that before I actually install the driver. Now, one of the things about Catalyst, it is true, yeah, it's a little bit sluggish at times. You'd really notice it if you had a mechanical hard drive, which incidentally I have had this past couple of weeks. My SSD crashed and I had to use a mechanical hard drive while I was waiting on my new one arriving. And Catalyst really loads slowly on it. Most things load slowly on a mechanical hard drive these days, yeah, but Jesus, this was this was purgatory waiting on this. Anyway, I'm going to double click on it and you'll see just how sluggish it is when it loads up. It's not that bad now really with a fast solid state drive. Right, so 3, 2, 1, now. Yeah, there's a little bit of a pause, yeah, it's not anything you're going to cry over, but it'll be interesting to see how that works on the new Crimson drivers. So what I'm going to do now is uninstall Catalyst, hopefully for the very final time. Goodbye Catalyst, hello Crimson, we'll see how it goes. Right, so we are back and crimsoned up. That was all relatively painless, as you would hope it would be. I would say the whole process took about a minute, almost exactly a minute actually, and that includes the extraction part and the actual installation, so they've definitely cut the time down there. The installation part could easily take a minute or more before with the old Catalyst drivers, so that's good. It's not something that's gonna make or break the driver, but it's interesting to see that they've made some progress there anyway. Now down here though, we've got this little kind of horrible looking thing. What is this? I quite like the old Catalyst tray icon, yeah? Which had the red dot with the grey dots around it. This whole sort of red thing, I don't know, it looks like herpes or something. Hopefully they'll change that. Now let's double click on it and see what it's all about. Now remember, there's a little bit of lag with the Catalyst. Let's see how fast or not this one is. So 3, 2, 1, now. But that was really fast, yeah? Almost instant in fact. Let's check that again. 3, 2, 1, now. Yeah, instantly loads up. Now, very nice looking. It's kind of hard to go wrong when you've got sort of silvers and reds, yeah? Those colours together just look absolutely fantastic, I find. And yeah, this looks absolutely great. And it's good to see AMD using this actually. It's very, very smart indeed. And maybe it's just me, yeah, but I don't think so. Redesigned, refined and supercharged. Well, it certainly looks nice and yeah, it seems pretty responsive. Right, now let's have a look at what we've got though, what really matters. We've got a gaming tab, a video tab, a display tab, Eyefinity tab, which I might take a look at. I do actually have Eyefinity available. We've got a system tab, and down the bottom we've got updates, preferences, notifications, and all AMD's social links. Let's click on updates. Right, now I'm hoping that when I click check for updates, it's going to tell me that I am fully updated. And there you go, your software is up to date. It was very quick as well in fact, so that's pretty good. Preferences, you can turn off the adverts here, that's always nice to see. Restore your factory defaults type of thing, yeah. And if you want to go back to the previous screen, click on done. Yep. Now notifications, what's this? Right, more over here, more or less. So Radeon Settings has detected that one or more high DPI panels are connected to my system. Enabling virtual super resolution will increase your resolution and allow you to customize DPI settings. I might talk a bit about that, I'm not sure though. My card's not really powerful enough for this to affect me, but you guys with the more powerful cards are probably going to get something out of virtual super resolution. They've had it in the drivers for the last 2 or 3 Catalyst drivers as well, so you've probably already used it. Click on done. Actually, I'm going to clear that one. Click on done. Right, so I'm going to take a look at my display options. What I'm going to say is this. If anybody is going to break this software, it will be me. Because I'm running 3 monitors, 2 of which have different resolutions. I've got the 1920 by 1200 center monitor, and I've got 2 1680 by 1050 side monitors. That's what I use, both for multi-monitor and Eyefinity. However, when I record, and in fact most of the time when I'm just using my center monitor, I have it set up as a 1920 by 1080 or a 1080p monitor. That's because YouTube likes 1080p files, yeah? So I am going to be really pushing this quite hard, setting up profiles and stuff like that lets me flip amongst all my display settings that I want to have set up. So this is going to be interesting from my point of view. If it doesn't work, and sometimes in the past it hasn't worked very well, if it doesn't work, this is going to be no use to me whatsoever. So let's click on display. Right, you can see here I've got one display here, which is my BenQ BL2411 on the display port, and that's my graphics card, the 7850, and I've only got my second display turned on right now. Over to my right hand side, and it's a really old monitor on the DVI. Now, you can see here you've got the virtual super resolution option if you want. You've also got GPU scaling and scaling mode. In order for me to turn this into a 1080p, I need to turn on GPU scaling. So that's what I'm going to do. And for me, I've got black bars at the top and the bottom of my screen. And that's exactly the way it should be. Now, my scaling mode though, full panel, I would normally have this set to center. So I'm going to set with that center. Right, now that seemed absolutely fine. I can do the same for my side monitors, but I'm always just going to be leaving them at 1680 by 1050, so there's no real point in doing any of that. Now, what I want to do is actually save this as a profile. Give it a hotkey so that I can switch to this specific screen setup at any point, yeah? Just by simply pressing a hotkey. How do you do it though? Right. For more display options such as overscan, underscan, click additional settings. So I'm guessing it's going to be this someplace. This is the thing, yeah, they've made the interface very slick and it's very user friendly, but the power settings that I am now looking for do not appear to be here, so I'm guessing additional settings is what it's going to be. Right, now. You see how slow the old Catalyst was, yeah? Because clicking this additional settings has brought up the old Catalyst panel. So we've found a slight chink in the armour there, I think, maybe. Hopefully this is something that they will work on, but if you want to get into the really deep settings, then you're going to have to click on additional settings and it's going back to this old style Catalyst menu system. Now what I'm going to do is go into presets here and add a preset. Now for some reason I can no longer give it a hotkey. So what's that all about? I've got no idea, but I certainly don't like the fact that I can't give it a hotkey. Let's save it anyway. Does it come down here now? It doesn't appear to come down here. Right, yeah, I'm finding an issue here because I really need these hotkeys. And if I don't have the hotkeys, I at least need it down here. Looking at my desktop management, I also don't appear to be able to change the resolution any longer here. So whatever they've done here, this is not a good change that I can see. Now what have we got? Custom resolutions, right, so this is new now. They've added a custom resolution thing, which I think Nvidia's had for a while. It makes you review the license and click accept, because when you're doing stuff like this with monitors, you can theoretically wreck your monitor. This is why AMD wasn't doing it before, but now they've decided, it looks like they've decided to match Nvidia and go ahead with this. What the hell is all this stuff? Now, I don't know an awful lot about monitors, but this stuff down here, front porch, what the hell is that all about? This stuff I'm not even going near, yeah? If you want though, you can click on new, and yeah, you can use these up arrows to set your resolution and stuff. Not really sure what I think about that though, to be honest with you. Let's see if I can switch my screen back to its normal resolution then. That looks about right. Click on verify. Right, so your custom resolution settings have been applied. Yeah, what it's done now is it's saved this custom resolution and put me back to 1080p, which is fine, I guess. I'm not convinced I like this though. Hopefully they'll work a bit more on this as it goes along. I'm going to click on this additional settings again, because how exactly do I add my third monitor now? Under desktop management there should be options to add more monitors, but I can't see anything here now. I can see my first and second monitor fine, but I can't see my third monitor. I can't see any way to add it. So yeah, AMD, you're going to need to work better on this. This is not good at all. And there is no way from here that I can tell to add my third monitor. Don't know what you're playing at with this. You're going to have to fix it, guys. Now, can I actually do it from Windows? You can see here I do have 3 monitors, yeah? So if I want to, I can extend my desktop to my... It says it's a second display, yeah? Click on Apply. Keep the changes. And as you can see, yeah, it has actually added my third screen. I don't think I should have to go through Windows in order to do that though. I didn't have to do it before. I don't see why I should have to do it now. So you're going to lose a point for that one, AMD. And you're also losing another point for the fact that I cannot simply hotkey my favourite settings. I'm probably not going to be able to use this software simply because of that. There might be some other third-party tool that allows me to profile switch using a hotkey, yeah? I don't feel that I should have to do it though. This is one of the reasons why I use AMD graphics cards, because Nvidia's multi-monitor has been awful for years. And AMD has taken a real backward step here with this, so not at all happy about that. Let's have a look at the stuff that you guys are much more interested in though. Right, we've got a gaming tab. Let's click on it. Now, since I put my new SSD in, I haven't really been playing much. In fact, the only thing I've played is Fallout 4. But anyway, you've got this global settings here. Again, very slick. It's all much nicer than before. All these options here, you're only really 1-2 clicks away from them. They were really hidden in the Catalyst Control Center. Trying to find this stuff was a nightmare. But now it's, yeah, you're only a couple of clicks away from it. And you can set up on a global level. So anything you set up here will be the default settings for all of your games. For example, if you always want to use morphological filtering, which is AMD's own anti-aliasing, what you do is override the application settings and put morphological filtering on, and you will now always have MLAA. Now what else have we got? Interesting, very interesting new thing they've added called a shader cache. Now Nvidia's had this for a while apparently, I had no idea. But this is what it does. It's a rather low quality slide, I'm afraid. Basically speaking, the shader cache loads games faster. They're claiming up to 33% faster, and also can reduce stutter and latency. What it does is it sort of saves the shaders to the hard drive so that they're not constantly being used at runtime during the game, yeah? It's probably going to help more with people like me who have lower end cards. Although I have read that a lot of people are saying that their games load much faster and they're getting that bit smoother as well. So that's good that AMD has at least caught up to Nvidia on this. One thing where AMD is ahead of Nvidia is the frame rate target control. Now they added this a few drivers ago actually. However, they've expanded on it. Before you could only go between something like 40 and 70 or something, 40 and 80. But now you can actually set your target frame rate between 30 and 200 frames per second. Why would you want to do that though? Obviously having higher frames per second is better, right? Well, not really in all honesty. It really depends on your refresh rate of your monitor. My monitor is only 60Hz, so anything over 60 frames per second is pretty much wasted in all honesty. All you're doing is burning a lot more power on your graphics card. You may even be affecting the lower frame rates. Simply put, right, most graphics cards these days have got turbos. So let's say you don't have a frame rate limiter and you've got a 60Hz monitor and you're playing a game that's up at 104 frames per second. Really, you're not going to notice the difference between 104 and 60 unless you're using 120 or 144Hz monitor, yeah? Then obviously you want to be either at 120 or 144. But for me, anything over 60 pretty much wasted. So while my graphics card is trying to turbo all the way up to this wasted 40 plus FPS above 60, it's getting hotter. And in actual fact, it seems sort of counterintuitive, but you could in actual fact be losing frames because as the card heats up, it tries to throttle in order to keep the actual frame rate high. So with this limiter on, this frame rate target control set to 60, the graphics card should be running cooler, quieter, using less power, and hopefully being able to maintain this 60 frames per second. It's pretty similar to VSync, wait for vertical refresh, or VSync. However, VSync has its own issues as well. I would use this, or at least I would have used it had it been available for my card. I don't know why you're telling me it's available when it doesn't work on the older series cards. Nvidia has something through third-party software, something similar to it. I think it might be EVGA. I'm not entirely sure about that one though. Now you can also set profiles at the game level, yeah? So if I decided for Fallout 4, for example, that I did want to have VSync on, or I wanted a lower target frame control, then you can also do that. So this is pretty nice. Let's have a look at this profile overdrive now as well. All this stuff looks pretty similar to what it was before, except nicer again. You've got your activity, your GPU clock speed, your memory clock speed, temperatures, fan speeds and all that stuff. And it lets you change stuff here. You've got automatic. I can put the fan up to 100% if I want to make myself deaf. What is interesting here though is you can now set your overdrive on a per game level as well. So a game like Fallout 4, where I'm kind of struggling to get good performance, I might decide, you know what, I'm going to overclock my graphics card and put my fan up a little bit so that I can get more performance out of it, and it will only do it for Fallout 4 or any other games that I have set through Profile Overdrive. So that's really nice as well. You can also launch it with AMD Eyefinity, which again is pretty nice. So instead of me having to go through the rigmarole of setting up Eyefinity, especially with this new system where I can't set profiles and hotkeys, I can decide to automatically launch with Eyefinity. So that's a pretty welcome addition as well. These profile settings and stuff is probably going to be one of the main things that people are happy with the new Crimson drivers. Right, so next up, video. Right, find a nice bit in the video and pause it. What you can do with the video settings tab is, well, this is default. Cinema Classic kind of makes it a bit deeper, brings the colours out a bit more, yeah. Enhanced makes it a bit brighter, brings out the dark areas. Home video, pretty similar to Enhanced in actual fact. Outdoor brightens it again. Sports again makes it that little bit deeper, and Vivid again brings the colours out that little bit more. So this is pretty handy if you're watching a lot of videos, and depending on what your own monitor is like, and depending on how dark the video is, stuff like that, you can set this up on the fly. You can see here, yeah, you can set the custom brightness and stuff like that, colour vibrance, custom sharpness, and even AMD steady video. So if the video is a bit shaky, maybe it's a home video or something, then AMD steady video should help to alleviate some of the worst of it. I think most of that stuff might have been in Catalyst Control Center, however it was sort of hidden away again and pretty annoying to use. So another small welcome change there. Right, so I'm just going to wrap this one up with a few of the more interesting little additions. As far as Eyefinity goes, you've got a quick setup, which is a couple of button presses to set it up. I'm not going to show you that because it doesn't really come across very well on 1080p video when you've got like 5000 pixels wide. I would also have to say that it doesn't always work as intended. One of the new additions is this flip queue sized optimised. This happens completely in the background now. You don't need to do anything with your games, it's just in the driver and you may notice it. It's kind of aimed at professional level players, esports players, but it could be very, very handy. It reduces the latency of your cursor and keyboard basically, yeah? Something like down from 50 milliseconds to 17 milliseconds. If you've ever been playing a game and the action gets quite intense and you sort of notice that your mouse, you kind of lose the ability to move your mouse, it's just input lag, yeah? Well, AMD claims that they have optimised this thing called a flip queue, which allows them to get around that, and it should keep your mouse responsive even when the action gets really hectic. It will certainly be interesting to see the difference this makes, because these are things that are very, very important to these esports players. If you can't control your mouse, you can't do anything. So that's definitely one to look out for. And last but certainly not least, no major graphics driver update is complete without game optimizations. And apparently they've made a really big breakthrough with Fable Legends, which is a game I'm actually in the beta for. I can't show you any footage yet though, because it's under NDA. That's almost, 20% increases here? Just for this game though. There were other smaller increases for many other games, on average maybe about 3-5%, so don't be expecting miracles in every game. One or two other things in it. They've finally added Liquid VR, which is AMD's VR drivers. They've added that into the software as well. That's more for developers though. But this is pretty much what you've got here, yeah? Your 10 times faster startup. I don't know if it's 10 times faster or not, but it's certainly faster, yeah? New and more intuitive navigation. That is certainly true. There's a new game manager. New overdrive. It looks the same as the old overdrive to me in all honesty, however it can now be used in profiles. New video, display and AMD Eyefinity technology interface tabs. Overall, the vast majority of it has been very welcome and really nice changes, and the vast majority of you will be very happy with it. For me though, it has broken my multi-monitor and I just can't use it like this. With a bit of luck, more people will complain about it than just me, and they'll go back to it. They'll give us those profiles back, they'll give us a hotkey switching back, and hopefully, hopefully I will reinstall it, because I am going to have to go back to my old Catalyst, I'm afraid, until this stuff is fixed. I'll catch you later, guys.